No, your eyes do not deceive you. We are the dads, not always on wrestling, including this week. I am the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham, and yes, on the screen with me, believe it or not, it is the Renegade of Wrestling, J.J. Williams, and dear Christ, is this the final sign of the apocalypse?
It must be. I mean, we've already had the plague and all the other madness going on.
Yeah, no kidding. And yes, you'll notice episode 1 is starred in the crawl. And yes, Disney, I'm not making a dime off this. And you know what? That crawl is fucking worth it, first of all. Second of all, it's episode 1 star because we've had about 3 episode 1s in this show. So, you know, we had the big premiere out in the front yard of the apartment. We had the big return in 2014 with the camera woman shenanigans, and here we are across the stars, if you will. Yeah, I know I went there. That's a horrible reference, but it's a good.
At least across the counties. I don't know about all the stars, but across the counties.
Well, I mean, you got to figure Hollywood is between you and I right now, so we are across the stars. So it's kind of. Anyway.
Waka Waka Fozzie.
Waka Waka, that's it. Well, we'll get to the Muppets another time, I'm sure, because the Muppets are just a huge thing for both of us. Especially you, sir. So, however, we decided, as you saw in the crawl, we are trying to bring a little bit of levity to those of you out there who are stuck at home, like me. Gentleman to my side here gets to actually go, out into the world and go to work every now and again because he is one of our essential workers in the world. I can't stress that enough, that y'all are important and we appreciate you. And if you're going out there like this person is, wear a fucking mask, wash your fucking hands, stay 6 feet apart, and leave him alone. Okay.
Please. And don't come out if you don't have to.
Seriously.
And don't bring your whole fucking family if you don't have to.
It's exactly. God damn. I can't. Seriously. Rule of 2. Go with the Sith rule, okay? Rule of 2, folks.
Thank you. I didn't even think about that, but yes. Thank you. The rule of 2.
If that. If you can do 1, go for it. But
Master,
at least rule of 2, yeah.
Apprentice. That's it.
Seriously. You do not need to be Mace Windu walking in there with lightsabers ready to chop people down because they're breaking the rules. Don't break the rules yourself, dipshit. Okay, now that I've on my soapbox for a minute.
Yeah.
The reason we're here is we've been talking about bringing dads back for a long time. I've actually had requests from inside the No DQ circle, particularly the NXT team, about, can you and I do dads? Because I'm a new dad now. It's like, well, dads was JJ and my thing, and if I'm going to bring dads back, I want to go and see where he's at in his head. And sure enough, the pitch was made. Here we are. But you and I both know, but the world doesn't know, you're not the most hardcore of wrestling fan these days, because who can blame you, quite frankly. But since we are every other week here on the Jeff Meacham Network, of course, I'm alternating these Fridays. Today's Monday, by the way. If you're not aware, today's May the 4th by the crawl, then you're not paying attention, first of all. But usually we'll be on Fridays, every other Friday, starting 2 weeks from now. Yes, 2 weeks from now. Every other Friday, alternating with the Wrestling Trivia Challenge on Greg's channel. So that way I'm not totally oversaturating y'all with the professor-ness. So, but this week we wanted to do Monday because this Monday is May the 4th. And as you know out there, May the 4th is the official Star Wars Day. Yeah. And also today, and I'm going to give y'all a cheap plug, Disney, so please don't sue me for this video. Today on Disney Plus drops Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. So,
May the 4th is the unofficial Star Wars Day for all the Jedi out there.
Oh, there we go. Oh, here we go.
For the Sith like myself, we observe Revenge of the 5th.
Well, then tomorrow you guys can watch the, you know what? Since I'm going to put this up first thing in the morning on May the 4th, watch them all. There's 11.
Right.
There's.
You can watch them all.
As of this going up, 10 of the 11 are on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And Disney Plus is dirt cheap, y'all. Seriously, like, you know, if you're paying $10 for the WWE Network and you're paying whatever the hell you're paying Netflix, because Netflix is still a thing, you can afford $6-7 a month for Disney Plus, and they got a library that will, you know, kick anybody's ass.
Yeah.
And the only one that's not on there yet is Solo, which we will get to Solo. But that's still on Netflix for now, so keep that in mind.
So if you have streaming platforms, there is no reason why you cannot watch the 11 major movies.
Now, having said that, before we go into our list, if you will, I do have to give honorable mention, of course, to the ones that are forgotten. Yes. The ones that don't make the list because they don't have access to anything anywhere unless you dig, like JJ and I do.
Yeah.
Because of the gentleman with me on the show, I got to witness the spectacle that was the Star Wars Holiday Special of 1978. I cannot recommend that enough, and especially if you get high or drunk before you watch it. Because as our fearless leader in Connecticut would say, it's such good shit. Wow, it is something.
It's a clusterfuck amongst clusterfucks.
Yes. Yeah, if you take the creative genius of George Lucas and the unnecessary celebrity involvement of WWE, you've pretty much got the Star Wars Holiday Special.
To put this into wrestling terms,
yes,
the Star Wars Holiday Special is the equivalent of Sid Vicious jumping off the top rope and breaking his leg, and Brock Lesnar botching his shooting star press at WrestleMania. That is the Holiday Special in a nutshell. But
with much more levity and laughter involved.
Oh, there's plenty of levity and laughter in those two incidents. For the wrong reasons. Much like the Holiday Special.
Thing. The Brock thing was damn funny because we all saw him do that before in OVW. The Sid thing, I still can't watch this. Like, oh, the humanity.
But yeah, just as an attempt to try to throw a little wrestling onto this episode since it's non-wrestling.
Yes.
That's probably the clusterfucky equivalent right there.
That one's definitely a watch. If you dig deep enough and, like I did, find these two.
Thanks to who?
Thanks to you. Okay. You recommended the movies to me, but I can't stress enough how long I dug into the Google video search beyond YouTube because, you know, Google and YouTube are the same thing. So you have to expand your horizons and you must unlearn what you have learned about video searching, folks. Caravan of Courage and the Battle for Endor. Is that correct? Or Battle of Endor?
I think the first one is just called the Ewok Adventure, and then the second one is Caravan of Courage.
Okay. Either way, Ewok Adventures, the Battle of Endor, and Battle for Endor, whatever, and Caravan of Courage, they actually take place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but they came out the years after. So,
yes.
And
I want to say 84 and 85 respectively. They came out in between the time that Warwick Davis did Jedi and then did Willow.
Right. So if you're on a Warwick Davis kick, you know, then there you go. I would highly recommend those two because if you, like me, were a lover of the Ewoks, I even had a stuffed Ewok. It's about this big when I was a kid. Those are just damn cute.
Yeah.
As far as the rest of the universe that now Disney recognizes or doesn't recognize, you know, all the animated adventures and the Clone Wars animated film connect the dots. La 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 la. They really do. Yeah. So I will, once this is up, I will share with the world what I shared with JJ and what I officially call the unofficial Williams verse of Lucasfilm. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have discovered half of this shit. So, but
I have to jump in there for a quick second. I have to give a couple other honorable mentions here.
Okay.
More parody than traditional canon, but you've got to give an honorable mention to Spaceballs.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
And I feel honorable mention has to be given to the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy. Blue Harvest,
again,
something Dark Side, and of course, It's a Trap!
Yes. Cannot recommend those enough away from your children. Let me make that clear. You think Family Guy on its own is bad? uncensored on Blu-ray in the form of Star Wars, yeah, hide the women and the children, folks.
Hide your wives. It's Family Guy.
Yeah, and even some men you might want to hide too, because some men are just sissies and just don't want to deal with it. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, the Family Guy stuff, again, thanks to you, I discovered I am not a Family Guy. Let me just throw it out there, but that stuff is gold.
Yeah.
So.
Especially
all right.
The part in something dark side at the very end where they point out the fact that Lando is wearing Han's clothes.
Right.
Like, what the hell? And you don't even realize it until you see that.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you watch the real trilogy, and it's like, holy shit, Lando really is wearing Han's wardrobe right now. What the actual fuck?
Now, here's my line of thinking on that. Either A, the Rebel Alliance clearly has no large wardrobe department.
Well, I mean, have you seen their fighter suits? Just saying.
Or B, Lando's some mystical creature we don't know about because somehow he got Han's clothes off of him prior to the carbon freeze and then thrown back on him prior to the Jedi release.
I think most of the Rebel Alliance's wardrobe budget is spent on hair and wardrobe for Leia. Just throwing that out there.
Which is why she dyed it down quite a bit in the sequel trilogy. Just throwing it out there. She wasn't over the top. All right, so I'm going to go first here because Star Wars is much more your domain than it is mine because, again, I came into the apartment 10 years ago, a hardcore Trekkie who had happened to see the Star Wars films in theaters and was a fan, but not a, diehard, practitioner of the Force. And I have since turned around and now practice both sides of the Paramount, Fox, Disney World. So there you go. All right. I think we can both agree on number 11, and I'm just going to throw it out there. And if you want to chime in and say agreed or whatever, Attack of the Clones, episode 2. Just honestly, other than Across the Stars, I can't find one redeeming quality of this movie. Yes, the love story with Anakin and Padme is what it is. It has to be evolved to get us to A New Hope. We have to get to Luke and Leia. We have to get to find out how they came to be, and that's wonderful. But it is the least Star Wars movie, I feel, of the Grand Nine, if you will, the Skywalker saga itself. Not a fan, but the soundtrack, as always, is amazing. I said this to you the other night in private chat. There's legends, there's icons, and then there's George Lucas and John Williams. And John Williams' score in episode 2 definitely saves the day. For me, this was hard. I'll tell you why. It was hard to say this because it's the only one that I went to see with Dylan in the theaters together. Rise of Skywalker is my number 10 out of the 11.
Okay.
Again, I appreciate Kathleen Kennedy and everybody wanting to write the Star Wars fans a love letter, but this was more of an 18 pages front and back thing from Friends than it was a love letter. I mean, it was just so much crammed into it, and they completely said, "Oh, Last Jedi, yeah, fuck that guy, whatever. We're gonna do our own shit here." So everything they established in Last Jedi pretty much got swept. Oh, cute. You're cute. Middle part trilogy's cute. So, and then they went with what they went with. Not a hater of it, just not my favorite of the sequel trilogy by and large.
Okay.
Number 9, Solo. I don't know what I expected for. I guess I expected because Rogue One was so damn good, and I'll get to Rogue One momentarily, that I figured the entire anthology series would just kick some serious major ass. And Solo was action-packed and did have a lot of cool scenes and cool moments, but the overall dialogue and the overall presentation of the story just really didn't do it for me. I didn't feel, and the fact is, if you go by the ending of the movie compared to when we see him in A New Hope, it's pretty much instantaneous as far as the transition within a few moments of each other, I guess. I mean, a few months, whatever it is. So you're telling me that he was so in love with this girl, she burns him, like a freaking Christmas tree on January 1st. And all of a sudden he meets Leia and realizes he's in love with her, but, is being a typical, you're worshiping, he really went that quick into not worrying about his love. Don't buy it. The Chewie stuff was cool, though. Number 8, Phantom Menace. Again, the prequel trilogies are the prequel trilogy is what it is, as we say on NerdDQ and everywhere. It is what it is. It's good, but there are much better stories, and I feel that for the first new outing in whatever it was, 16 years at the time, it could have been a lot better. The only reason number 7 is Revenge of the Sith is because it's the best of the worst, if you will. I personally enjoy Revenge of the Sith. I like it a lot. Like I do. I really like it a lot. And I loved that they tied it all together. And okay, here's where we all know going into 2005. Okay, here's where we see Anakin become Vader. Here, how does it happen? And they pulled it off very well. Again, I had a hard time reconciling Anakin's freaking over emo personality. It was like Spider-Man 3 on steroids. It was just like.
But you can't fully fault Hayden for that.
I don't.
It's just the way the script was written. Like,
I don't fault Hayden one bit. I fault Lucasfilm. But I fault.
But I feel like a lot of people do fault Hayden.
Right. No, I know.
Then they fault the script.
No.
And it's like, I feel like that needs to be reversed. It's the script.
Oh, it totally is.
Hayden just did what he could do with it. And I'll go into more detail when I get to my list. But I have that one much higher up on my list than you do.
Yeah. And honestly, I think Star Wars' entire 42-year history is focused around the whiny baby face, if you will, trying to be not so whiny as the saga progresses. Luke, Anakin, Rey. All right, number 6 is Force Awakens. And I only like Force Awakens more than Revenge of the Sith because, again, it was one of those, new Star Wars movie, new Star Wars movie. And it was good, and the emotional impact of the end. And if you haven't seen Force Awakens, spoiler alert. Kylo Ren killing his father, Han Solo, I still, saying it as I just said it just now, I got chills. I'll never forget, sitting in the theater. You know what? Actually, Dylan came to that one too. I take that back. No, it was Patrick. Whoever sat next to me, he could hear. They told me later they could hear me as Han was approaching Ben. I'm going, oh my God, no, oh my God, no, oh God, oh God, oh God, no, please no, please no, please not, like muttering to myself. And Patrick goes, what was wrong with you? I'm like, dude, I knew it was coming. I fucking knew it was coming. When that lightsaber ignites, I screamed almost as loud as Chewbacca did. No lie. No! Like, for you, I can only equate it to the moment when we were watching Frozen with another Han. I bet I kicked the fucking TV in that day. Yeah. All right. Number 5, Return of the Jedi. The classic end of the trilogy. What we all thought was going to be the end of the trilogy for many, many years. And I will say I prefer the original release of Return of the Jedi over the special edition. I prefer Sebastian Shaw being there at the end as a ghost. I prefer the Nub Nub song more than the damn. The overlay is very beautiful. Again, John Williams is a fucking genius, but the Nub Nub song is just my childhood. It just yanks at me. Like, oh jeez. So, but the overall, the resolution of the story, Anakin's redemption, and now we know later that it really was the story of the rise, the fall, the redemption of Anakin Skywalker. But in the moment, okay, cool. Luke saved his dad. That's great. We're gonna, we have a happy ending. It's, typical Disney, even though it was a Fox movie. So it was very, very well done. Mm-hmm. All right, number 4, The Last Jedi. I feel Last Jedi does not get near enough credit for what they tried to do with that story. I felt it was a very, very well told movie all the way through. Luke's story in that movie is just classic. I did not like the part at the okay. Let me say, Force Awakens ending with the freaking 22-minute lightsaber hold, and then to open up with like the hell. We waited 3 years for that. The hell, asshole. So that pissed me off. But the arc of Kylo was very well done in this movie. I feel that given where Rise of Skywalker went, it was kind of like, okay, so he really wants to be the bad guy, but he knows he's not, but he's trying, but and Luke's ultimate story resolution, it was very, very well done. So I love it. Number 3, Rogue One. Cannot recommend Rogue One enough to anybody who isn't even a Star Wars fan. Like, if you were to honestly, go and rent a movie at your Blockbuster, if Blockbuster was still anywhere besides Bend, Oregon, and you were to go, rent, a movie somewhere or watch a movie somewhere, and you wanted to see a sci-fi, action-packed, great story, great character development, great, within the confines of 2.5 hours, Rogue One pulls it off. Because, other than the presence of Vader and Governor Tarkin, you really don't get a whole lot of Star Wars stuff here. It's very much a story of a group of people who band together to fight a common enemy and take out a horrible weapon geared at their fellow independents or rebels or whatever you want to call them. And I did like the very, very subtle, very, very cool cameo at the end where they CGI'd Carrie and used her voice saying hope. It was like, oh, yes. I found somewhere on YouTube a little video that somebody put together of the end of Rogue One, little bitty custom video, beginning of New Hope. It was brilliant. So, love the transition to New Hope. Great. Rogue One was great, as was number 2, A New Hope. You can't go wrong with the original more often than not. And luckily for George, even if it wasn't a 42-year saga that we sit in right now, Star Wars itself, A New Hope, ended very, very well. Great 2.5 hours of whatever it was of movie making. I'm being called. I gotta hang up. So let me just go ahead and do it. Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Again, Star Wars is the classic epic movie. It's an epic storytell. It's fantasy. It's sci-fi. It's thriller. It's action. It's everything. And it's just so well done that had Empire Strikes Back not existed, it would be number 1. But Empire Strikes Back is just it's the only middle child in history that just kicks ass, except for maybe Back to the Future Part 2, because Empire Strikes Back set the standard for I'm the middle child, but I'm gonna kick serious ass, and here's why. Just amazing storytelling. The character development from New Hope and leading to Jedi is just so well told. The obnoxious almost love story between Han and Leia just went so well. Luke's character development was good in this movie. The big reveal, of course, and again, if you're watching this, don't know the big reveal of Empire Strikes Back, pause the damn video and go watch Empire now, because you're about to get wrecked in your head, seriously.
Luke, I am your father.
No, I am your father. What's awesome is, I found out later, they filmed that with David Prowse saying, no, Obi-Wan killed your father. And Luke and Mark Hamill reacting the same way. And then they dubbed in James Earl Jones after the fact. And it still works. So, all right. Oh.
I have to touch on one thing you said there when you were talking about Empire being probably the only middle child in movie history that kicks ass, other than Back to the Future 2.
Okay.
I have to throw out a couple of others there.
Okay.
That definitely kick as much ass. One, I'm not even really a huge fan of this franchise, but Aliens far superior to the original Alien.
Haven't seen it, so I'll take your word for it.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier. by and
Yeah.
large people feel is one of the greatest Marvel movies, period,
Right.
let alone it being better than the first Avenger. Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock.
Yeah, okay, I'll concede that.
There have been a few. Young Guns 2, in my opinion, a lot better than the original. Definitely more humor-based, where the original is more drama-based.
Right.
But still, I will pop in the second one almost any day over watching the original, yes.
I'm probably going to shit on your next movie you're going to bring up, but considering the shirt I'm wearing and the hat I'm wearing, Jeff, D2, hello, Ducks 2, hello. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Ducks 2 was damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there have been quite a few middle children in the movie world that were definitely as good as, if not superior to the original.
Right.
But I concede your point that they are few and far between.
Yes. And Empire set that standard.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, here you go. All right.
So,
let me get comfortable here.
I did not even rank this one. So,
Wow.
it's just going to automatically go at number 11 for me, and that's Solo, a Star Wars story.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I've tried watching it. I've watched it completely through about twice now, and I think I've tried watching it a third time, and I just cannot get into it. And I think, at least for me, the biggest problem is the fact that when I think Han Solo, I think Harrison Ford.
Right.
And I have a hard time seeing anybody else try to portray that character, even at a younger age, because obviously Harrison is not that young anymore to do, a prequel movie.
No.
But I just don't buy anybody else as that character. Unlike how they could have done a Boba Fett movie.
Yeah.
But because it's a guy in a suit, they wouldn't have to get the original actor.
Right,
The
exactly.
same way that the gentleman, I forget his name, took over for Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Those type of characters, it's a little bit easier to buy into because it's a costumed character. But
right.
If it had been a prequel movie about Luke and it hadn't been Mark Hamill, you would have been like, I don't know. Like, that's Luke's part to me.
Yep.
So, number 11 on my list is Solo.
There you go. Okay.
Number 10, the first one I officially ranked, is Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Again, I've tried watching it a couple times. I've watched it in the context of watching the entire saga from start to finish.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily going to say that I buy into what all the naysayers say because I formulate my own opinions.
Right.
But it just didn't reel me back into the verse the way that Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker did.
Okay.
Number 9 is Attack of the Clones for me.
So Attack of the Clones is better than Last Jedi.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of, and I've mentioned this to you numerous times in our talks, but because of one scene.
Yes.
You say there are no redeeming qualities in that movie aside from John Williams' score. That one scene is what nails it for me every time. And for those of you out there that don't know, that don't have the insight that me and Jeff have, the scene is after Anakin storms the Tusken Raider camp and just murders everybody because of his mother's death. And then he goes back home and he tells Padme, I murdered them. I slaughtered them all. And not just the women, or not just the men, but the children and the women. and you could just see the emotion in Hayden's face. It was at that moment that you really saw the beginnings of what would become Vader.
Right.
In my opinion. And
Okay.
that scene is what always saves that movie for me.
Yeah. It's the story of Anakin and Padme, and I forget that scene a lot because I get so wrapped up in the fact that just 95% of that movie is just like. But
there is one other redeeming quality of that movie.
Okay.
They scaled Jar Jar back immensely for 2 and 3 after part 1.
Well, okay.
So there was some redemption there too, damn it.
But you and I have had this talk many times in the last 15 years that Jar Jar was the fucking guinea pig for Yoda in 2.
Yes, I was going to get there when I get to my ranking of Phantom Menace.
Yeah, because honestly, if Yoda wasn't doing Count Dooku in 2, there would have been no fucking Jar Jar. I say that to this day.
Strike that. Reverse it. If there had been no Jar Jar, there could have been no Yoda.
No. What I'm saying is, if there wasn't the thought of Yoda doing being able to CGI Yoda to that degree, then there would have been no test dummy. And I wish it would have been a crash test dummy. Anyway, he kind of was.
Number 8 for me is Return of the Jedi.
Oh wow! Okay, wow. Now you have my attention.
Only because of the fact that I don't feel that looking back on it in retrospect, it's as good as it was when I first saw it as a kid.
Wow. Okay.
When you're a kid and you're seeing it, you're growing up. I was like 7 or 8 when it came out. You see the cute little furry Ewoks, and you're like, oh, those guys are so cute. But the older you get, the more you're like, those things are fucking annoying.
Okay, well, yeah, remember when... Do you happen to know what month Jedi came out of curiosity?
I don't remember. It probably summertime somewhere.
Okay, because we know the age difference, you and I together, but yeah. Okay.
But, I mean, don't get me wrong, Return of the Jedi definitely has redeeming qualities, more so than I can say for The Last Jedi or Attack of the Clones. But a good, solid chunk of that story is Endor and the Ewoks, and it's like, if you had cut that in half, I might rank it a little bit higher these days.
Right. I was 85 days old when Return of the Jedi came out.
Okay, so... Number 7 is Rogue One.
Oh, God. Anyway, go ahead. Rogue One. Okay. Right.
Number 7 is Rogue One. A lot of the stuff that you mentioned, I'm going to just be real cheap here and say I second those sentiments.
Very good.
The way they were able to pull off Tarkin and have him look exactly like he did in A New Hope was eerie to me.
And that voice actor they got to fill in for Peter Cushing was just like spot the hell on. Damn, yeah.
On the one hand, when I first heard about Rogue One, I was like, do we need to tell this story? And then when I saw it executed, I was like, yes, we fucking needed this story.
Yes. What's scary is there's so much more between 3 and Rogue One that other than the Rebels cartoon series, there's a lot of meat on that bone.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
And I have to say, for whatever reason, I've just never gotten drawn into the Star Wars animated series.
Right.
Even going back to when I was a kid and the droids and the Ewoks cartoons, just something about them didn't really hook me then either.
Right.
So, number 6 is The Phantom Menace.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and get a little bit deeper in here, like we were touching on earlier. Everybody wants to shit on Jar Jar, And I have said for years, you touched on it a little bit earlier, that I firmly believe that Jar Jar was the test dummy, as you said.
Yeah.
They needed to see where technology was as far as doing a computer character, because they knew Yoda was probably going to be a fair part of the prequels.
Right.
And we had been told what a warrior Yoda was. We needed to see him fight.
Yep.
You could not do that with a little fucking puppet.
No.
Frank Oz is a god. Do not get me wrong. But he would not have been able to pull off what they needed Yoda to do in a lightsaber battle.
I would love a blooper reel of him trying, though, personally.
Right?
Sadistic as fuck, yes, that is, but, you know.
So Jar Jar was the blueprint as to how to make believable computer-generated characters that could interact with the humans and do all that kind of stuff. So the next time you pop in your DVD or Blu-ray and you're going to have a shit on Jar Jar fest, just keep that in mind. Because it just makes what they do with Yoda in Episode 3 that much better.
Yeah, again, folks, if you hate on Jar Jar, then you have no love for Yoda versus Dooku and Yoda versus the Emperor. Just saying.
Number 5 is The Rise of Skywalker.
You got it high. Wow, okay.
I adore this movie. And I'm going to tell you what, I sat there in that theater knowing it was coming.
Yep.
Wondering how they were going to address it. And blubbering like a baby.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And they dealt with Leia's death.
Yeah.
And it wasn't watching her die that got to me. It wasn't watching the rebels react to her passing that got to me.
No.
As funny as it's going to sound, it was Chewbacca's reaction that got to me.
Yeah. Chewbacca's reactions to everything in that sequel trilogy just wreck me. They do.
It's like, oh, well, how can a Wookiee make you cry? Watch his reaction to finding out that Leia was gone.
Yeah.
He had been with her through 6 fucking movies.
Yeah.
They were family.
Yeah, remember, these movies take place over 42 years of movie history, but they also take place in that time in their world. Because Jedi takes place, whatever it is, 33 years before Force Awakens. So Han and Leia and Chewie were all this little group, this family, for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know,
and we still don't have canon movie or television as to what happened with Han, Leia, and Chewie specifically between Jedi and Force Awakens.
Right.
That's a whole nother untapped market that they can either do little solo movies like they did for Rogue One, or Solo, pun intended.
Yeah.
Or it could be a Disney Plus series like they're doing with Mandalorian.
And honestly, you know, if you haven't watched the holiday special, Chewie doesn't have a family of his own. So, you know, as far as the canon, he doesn't. So,
Han is his family.
Yeah, Han was his family for years. Yeah.
Solo.
Yeah.
And then by proxy, Leia became his family when they became a couple.
Right. And you'll notice when Han gets murdered, he is just angry and just wants to destroy every fucking thing. When Leia dies, you see him collapse. He has the Ralph mouth moment, man. He's like, he completely is shattered. It's like, yeah, again, I'm not a fan of the whole movie, but the moments like that, I'm fucking crying now thinking about it.
Right? I'm trying to contain myself.
Like, Jesus. Yeah, it's damn you, George Lucas.
Well, see, but that's the thing. Lucas had nothing to do with Rise of Skywalker or the prequel trilogy.
Well, no, the sequel, yes. Prequel, yes. Sequel, no. Yeah.
The
Yes.
sequel trilogy.
Yes, that was Kathleen Kennedy, but he is the one that, said, okay, well, I'm retiring, but you do you. So, he basically appointed his apprentice, if you will.
Yeah.
Rule 2.
Damn it. Number 4 for me is The Force Awakens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just hitting you back to back with the sequel trilogy because
I know. Yeah.
I felt that The Force Awakens did everything that The Phantom Menace tried to do but failed.
Okay.
It reintroduced you to the universe that you knew and loved. It brought in some familiar characters. And it had begun a grand new adventure.
Yeah. It established the fact that, yeah, the 3 of them are here, but these are your heroes.
Yeah.
So. Well said, sir.
Number 3 is A New Hope. The one that started it all.
You have not... Okay, go ahead.
Everything that I just said about The Force Awakens, A New Hope did first.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the original.
Yep.
It laid the groundwork. You cannot say much about A New Hope that hasn't already been touched on.
Yes.
This is where we're going to come to the biggest point of contention.
Right.
To Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. The fact you had, I'm like, he's a motherfucker number 2.
It was, as you said earlier, it was the best of the worst. I feel like it does not get the credit it deserves.
Okay.
Like you said about The Last Jedi, like Revenge of the Sith is a phenomenal movie. In my humble opinion.
Hey.
And maybe I just lost a whole lot of stock with your viewers for saying that. But legit,
I think we lost them doing a Star Wars thing in the first place, Joe.
The Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite movies.
Wow.
I mean, emo Anakin notwithstanding, because as we touched earlier, that was more the writing than anything.
Right.
From start to finish, that movie, I think, is just epic. You get the crumble of the Obi-Wan Anakin friendship. You get Anakin scrambling and doing whatever he can to try to figure out how to save Padme from death during childbirth. You get, as a result, Anakin getting closer and closer to Sidious. You get the fall of the Jedi. You get Order 66.
Which still, I can't order faster to this day and get that order, because I have a moment at restaurants that's like, oh, damn it.
I mean, again, when Anakin walks into the Jedi Temple with the younglings, and they're like, Master Anakin, what are we going to do? And you just see that blade ignite. It's the same reaction you had with Ben and Han.
Like, no!
Oh my God. Is this really going to fucking happen? And then he kills them just like he did the women and the children Tusken Raiders.
At least they didn't show it on camera. Good Lord.
Of course not. They couldn't show that. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, it was Fox, so you know what?
Anakin Skywalker, not Jason Voorhees.
Yeah. Or Jason the Solo, if you want to go to the books.
And then you had that insane battle on the Mustafar system.
Right.
Which, dare I say, mimics the Simba and Scar battle on the Lion King.
We've had that talk a few times. Yeah, it's if you side by side screen, yeah.
We have, but I'm throwing it out there for the rest of the
right. Yeah, exactly.
Really think about that. It's like, oh shit. kind of is, you know?
Yeah, yep. Except Anakin's not the old uncle. So, yeah.
And then to the birth of Darth Vader.
Yep.
And seeing him in the suit the whole time. I mean, all of those moments that I just mentioned, it's like, how can you honestly dispute that that's not a great movie?
I feel it is a great movie. I just feel the other, whatever I put in front of it, were better in their own way. So.
Fair enough. To each their own.
But, yes.
The only place that we do agree,
yes,
number one, is the Empire.
Yeah, I will die on that damn freaking Tatooine sandhill about Empire not being the best one. It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
For me, okay, growing up as a young professor, a student teacher, if you will, I was teacher assistant there. Well, that's a whole other story. Anyway, wow. I was much more almost had a spit take on Dads of Wrestling. Almost. Almost wasted Dr. Pepper, which you don't do. So, yeah. You and Teresa, I blame for everything Dr. Pepper was in my life now. Anyway, yeah. So, I grew up before there was even wrestling in my life, there was Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until they released the special editions in 1997 that I really got into the Star Wars movies, and including those re-releases when they released them, whatever it was, February, March, April, whatever it was in 97, I have seen every single Star Wars movie, if not opening night, then opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that fan base, the practitioners of the Force, if you will, are just the most diehard single I don't know if a single story is the right word, but single franchise fans I've ever seen. Like, people in our circle, criticize the WWE universe for being so diehard dedicated to Vince McMahon that they will let him get away with anything, and to be fair, a lot of the Star Wars fans are the same way, but a lot of Star Wars fans have really spent years debating which of these is the best. And I want to hear from you guys out there in the comments, however you want to lay it out there. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to be back with Dads every other week, as I said, every other Friday. So today's May the 4th, Star Wars Day. So we won't be back here on the air with Dads until, figure for a minute, 15, until May 22nd. And on May 22nd, we're going to have a wrestling topic. I know, easy JJ, it's okay. We are going to give our list, our opinions on the 10 best wrestlers never to have held a WWE recognized world championship. Well, what does that mean, Jeff? We had that talk. WWE, as far as I am aware, recognizes their world titles, WCW, the NWA, although I don't know how they recognize the TNA champions. I chose to recognize the TNA champions, but I don't know. I've also redone my list after the fact. So, and of course the TNA championships themselves, and AEW, they don't recognize that. And I believe Ring of Honor is also on their non-inclusion list. So, basically, the properties that WWE has purchased, the Jim Crockett era NWA, WCW, AWA, ECW, those are on the you can't use that name list. So that'll be on May 22nd. I understand that you have some plugs, and I definitely want to make sure you get those out there because I know you're trying to do your thing on social media. So have at it, sir.
Plugs?
Your DJ business?
I know I'm losing hair, but I don't think I need any plugs.
How about promotional material?
Well, I just have my Instagram that I'm really trying to get out right now that I just created specifically for the return of this show.
Okay.
It is the Renegade J.j. Williams.
Right.
All one word. I don't know if you put that in the description or anything.
I will throw it across the screen as you talk. That way it can be a. I can do that now. I have technology and shit.
I'll text that shit. I remember when I had to be the one editing, and now the student has become the master.
Will too. You notice all my shows are two co-hosts, me and somebody else. So
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the only thing right now. The Renegade J.j. Williams on Instagram. You can find me. Bring up some topics that you want me and Jeff to cover. I'll shoot them to him. It's like he said, 1 week we'll be doing a wrestling related something. The next week that we do a show, it'll be non-wrestling, just because, as he stated, I'm not huge into wrestling anymore. So it's going to be basically top 10 formats like this, but stuff that I can at least have some kind of knowledge about, which would exclude the current product.
Yes. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get to that list. Like, it's funny. Every year on Facebook memories, I get the notification, send topics to JJ and I. The 10 best trilogies not named Star Wars or Back to the Future. We never fucking did that show.
Nope. In fact, before you pitched this, I was going to say, do we want the trilogies to be our first fucking show?
I know, right? Seriously. Well, the thing with Star Wars is it's 3 trilogies on its own now.
You're right.
Take up half the damn show.
Exactly.
So we definitely can't do Star Wars. So, but it's, there are so few good, honest trilogies that are just trilogies. Like Halloween 4 through 6, they're good, but they're part of an overall, presentation. Same with the classic Trek movies. You could argue that Wrath of Khan through Voyage Home is its own little story, but it's still part of the overall grand Star Trek phenomenon. So, the new Star Trek movies, the 3 of them, but again, you really have to classify what is a trilogy. So, trilogy is a definitive beginning, definitive middle, definitive end. So,
and it can't just be 3 movies from a bigger franchise.
Right. And again, the only reason I would ever use Star Trek 2 through 4 is because Star Trek 2 basically says, okay, motion picture didn't happen. Let's move right along. And then Voyage Home ends with, okay, we've got Spock back. We're going back. Oh, shit, Earth's dead. We have to save Earth. They save Earth. Kirk gets his command back. Off they go. Boom. That's the end of the trilogy. That's good shit. So, again, that's the only argument with that particular one. But, yeah, I mean, there's the Alien. But, again, Alien also became more than 3. So, there's... Trilogy is a pain in the ass. So maybe we should just do franchises.
Could look into that.
We could.
I think we could still figure out the trilogy part, but
we could. But that's for another time, another place, because next time
maybe that'll be the non-wrestling one for June, just because it's been on the back burner for so goddamn long.
I would have to agree with that assessment. So May 22nd, don't forget, tune back in. The top 10 non-world champions, WWE recognized. For the Renegade Wrestling J.j. Williams, I am the Wrestling Professor Jeff Meacham saying we will see you guys next time right here on Dad's Art Wrestling.